Okay, this is a 2010 Kia Forte EX 2.0, and I'm trying to replace the alternator. And ended up looking at a video online about some tips about removing an alternator from a Kia Optima. Very similar. Ended up following some of those steps. I removed the power steering pump and just tucked it out of the way, and it has 3 bolts that will mount in these 3 locations here, and you can probably see at the end of my finger a 4th hole down there. That's the top of the alternator mount, and then the bottom one, which I didn't know if this was going to be a slot or not, had a lot of questions about if I ended up having to drill into the side of the car chassis here just to get the bolt out. You don't. Let me put this bolt here and here so you can see where it's supposed to go. So you can see that bolt down there. It's got a slotted connection. That's where it goes into, and it just fastens in there. I did have to pry both the power steering pump and the alternator out. This is the tools I used. It's just got to be real careful, be real gentle about where you pry. I had to use this smaller one here to get underneath the alternator and just kind of jimmy it out a little bit. The bigger one I used just to kind of tuck under the power steering pump. Getting back in there is going to be a challenge, I'm sure. And then obviously I had to remove the serpentine bolts. I chose to go in through my tire wheel well. Over here I had to remove the little cover over here to the main drivetrain, the drive shaft. And anyway, just got underneath, up under here, just up a little bit. I can't point in there because I'm holding the light. I thought about trying to remove the AC pump, but then you have the housing for the oil filter going to get in the way. You also have the frame of the car going to get in the way. So other suggestions were to remove the radiator fan. That was actually simple enough. You just take off the main radiator hose over here, remove the bleed line. I did have to remove this air intake over here just to get it out of the side, because it mounts up on top of here. It gets in kind of the way of the fan anyway. You got to pop that out of the way. Disconnected the fan electrical connector, and then the radiator fan sits in there simply enough by that bottom just clip. This top one in here is what actually holds it in place on both sides. So you just bend that out of the way and pull up. Easy enough. It's just on the top ones. And then the only thing that really got in the way was this finger right here, making it a little awkward to get out of there. So anyhow, once I was able to pry that alternator loose, I was able to work its way from this side and ended up pulling it out over here where I had a little bit more room, being careful not to damage the radiator, what do you call this, the fins. Great. I did end up removing my headlight just to make it a little bit easier to get my hands in there. You may not have to, but I chose to. I think that about sums it up. I didn't have to remove any motor mounts or anything. I was real scared about doing that. Didn't even have to drain the engine coolant line. Now, keep in mind that I've been working on this for about 6 hours now, so I didn't have any pressure in my system. Also made sure to disconnect the battery, but hopefully this helps. That's how I got it out. Now it's just got to get it back in. Thanks.